Hello everyone, please press subscribe, press follow, press the bell so you don't miss any new clips. The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Author by Heavenly Overlord. Translator by NYOIBO Studio. Audio novels by Novelist. The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Chapter 126, Fight to the Death.
Xiana,
do you want me, or do you want her? Su Yu asked coldly. Today Su Yu was able to step on Zhu Rong. He could probably let her go. But in the future, when Zhu Rong had the upper hand, would she show him the same mercy? Zhu Rong had already attempted to kill Su Yu 3 times. The first time was when he first entered Fenguang Valley. She failed in her attempt to break off the engagement between him and Xiana and had attacked him, only to be stopped by Li Guang. The second time was during the battle in the Forbidden Grounds, where she had failed to force him to spare Lu Guang. She had again been stopped by Li Guang. The third time was today when she had tried to murder him in front of everyone. Every time, Zhu Rong had not had a shred of pity. She would never show him mercy. If he let her go today, she would gather the full force of her family and, one day, she would step on Su Yu's head. Su Yu would definitely die. Thus, Xiana had to choose between Zhu Rong and Su Yu. Xiana was silent. She thought for a moment before burying her head into Su Yu's chest, closing her eyes. In this world, Xiana is satisfied to have Su Yu alone. Su Yu nodded his head, coldly staring at Zhu Rong. He softly sighed. For Xiana, you were better off dead than alive. No. Zhu Rong howled in panic, but she was suddenly silenced as her head was completely frozen. With a light tap from Su Yu's toe, her entire body crumbled into icy dust, scattering into the galaxy. Let's go. Let's leave the Liaxian faction and roam the world. Su Yu hugged Xiana, turning to leave. Xiana batted her eyelashes, dimples adorned her happy face. All right. I'll never leave you again. Looking at the two step into the snow holding hands, many regained their senses. Seeing Su Yu strike, then kill Zhu Rong seemed like a long moment, but in reality, it only took a split second. No one had the time to interfere. They hadn't expected someone to commit murder in front of the elders of the faction. Stop. Su Yu, you disrupted the wedding ceremony of Xuanhuan. Do you think you can just leave from here? Whoosh. Sun Tianyang approached the couple, his expression sinister. Yuan, who also approached furiously from the side, cornering Su Yu between him and Sun Tianyang. Su Yu had stolen Xuanhuan's bride in the presence of everyone. Su Yu's eyes harbored an intense cold. Scram. I just want Xiana, I do not wish to kill anyone else. Sun Tianyang was looking for a battle. Losing the chance to fight you to the icy azure lake was the only regret of my life. I did not have the chance to get my revenge. To think you've now delivered yourself to me. Let us have a rematch for my honor. Sun Tianyang let out a low growl. Golden transformation mantra. In his fury, Sun Tianyang transformed into a man of ancient copper in the blink of an eye. A massive energy spread throughout his body, pressuring the people around him. He had improved since the Fallen Star contest. All thanks to you, I have finally reached the lower tier of this legacy-level technique. Kneel. Rumble. His powerful fist struck forward. The wind generated by the fist blew out in all directions, dissipating the icy fog and causing Su Yu's silver hair to dance. Yuan, who also seized the opportunity to strike from the other direction, his gaze cold. Let's see how arrogant you are after this. One was a second-level lower-tier Holy King and the other was a second-level peak Holy King. Who could doubt the power of their combined attack? Su Yu stood at his original position, letting the wind blow past his purple robe and silver hair. His supernatural eyes were calm and peaceful. Only when the attacks came within a few feet of him did he extend his palm, grabbing at the space in front of him. Crack. Sun Tianyang and Yuan, who both howled pathetically at the same time. Their bodies were fully covered with frost. The frost on their skin spread to their muscles and organs. In the blink of an eye, they were both reduced to ice statues. They were forever sealed in the world of ice, still braced in attack stances. Sun Tianyang's eyeballs wavered, showing his unbridled fear. To think that Su Yu could kill him with just a palm. Su Yu lightly shook his head. Your abilities are average. Su Yu struck his palm forward, attempting to shatter the ice. Vermin, how dare you! A thunderous howl came from outside the yard. Rumble. A muscular man in black armor descended from the sky, his face full of fury. He grabbed down and retrieved Sun Tianyang and Yuan Hu, protecting him from Su Yu's death blow. Su Yu recognized the man as the guard of the steel bridge with black armored. His abilities were at a terrifying third-level lower-tier Holy King. Once, he had stopped Su Yu outside of the steel bridge. His palm had caused Su Yu to vomit blood as he retreated. Su Yu had finally passed him at the speed of light, not giving the guard a chance to stop him. He had been in pursuit of him until now. Furious and murderous, the black-armored guard finally had a clear look at Su Yu. He angrily realized Su Yu looked familiar. So you are the ignorant outer sanctum disciple. Small vermin practicing a strange movement technique, why are you trying to cause trouble in the inner sanctum? Protecting the steel bridge and not allowing people from the outer sanctum to pass was his duty. Su Yu had not only snuck in, but he had also caused trouble during the wedding ceremony with the elders present. If he did not kill Su Yu and redeem himself, he would definitely be punished. Su Yu calmly retracted his palm, looking back. Sneak in. I didn't sneak in, I just did not want to fight you. HMPH. Of course you do not want to fight me, how could you ever defeat me? Immediately kneel and surrender. The black-armored guard scowled in fury, stepping forward with large strides. He was looking down on Su Yu, for he had previously beaten Su Yu with a single palm. But Su Yu's expression was peaceful as he slowly shook his head. You're wrong. I just didn't want to kill you. Xiana's forced marriage was underway. Had he been caught in a tangle with the black-armored guard, Su Yu might find it hard to hold back. The black-armored guard shivered slightly, then laughed angrily. 5 days ago you were a vermin that vomited blood after receiving my palm. Today, you are really arrogant. Su Yu shook his head. He did not pay much attention to what the guard was saying. He hugged Xiana as he walked out of the yard. Seeing he was ignored, the black-armored guard became visibly furious. He clenched his teeth. Vermin. Kneel. 5 Mountain Seal. The black-armored guard let out a low growl. The horrifying vital energy of a third-level Holy King encircled in his palm. It was a world-altering energy, one that trailed waves of fire across anything it touched. Su Yu's chilly energy was forced back, the energy pouring out in waves. Strong winds howled, inspiring fear in the hearts of many. Sun Tianyang, who had just been freed from the ice, was thrown in the air by the currents, crashing into a corner. He let out a grunt as he spat out a mouthful of blood. This is a third-level Holy King. It completely surpasses the levels of a second-level Holy King. Sun Tianyang was in deep awe. He felt helpless under the pressure, unable to muster any attempts to fight back. Third-level Holy King, its power was greater than imagined. Rumble. The third-level Holy King ferociously struck out in the direction of Su Yu's head. Kneel. Accept your punishment. The black-armored guard looked down on Su Yu as he growled. But Su Yu's eyes remained calm as he peacefully extended a finger. Perish. Chilly energy billowed and consolidated on his finger. Creak. A great impact did not come as expected. But, a pathetic howl was heard. Everyone looked toward the direction of the sound and gasped. A third-level Holy King, the black-armored guard, spat out a mouthful of blood as he flew backward. A finger had completely suppressed a third-level Holy King. A mere finger. How powerful had Su Yu become since he had returned from the icy azure lake? Sun Tianyang's breathing was rapid and his eyes were opened wide. He couldn't believe what he saw before him. His throat seemed to have been blocked by something and he was unable to speak for a moment. He is already this strong. A numbness spread throughout his scalp. He felt a fear he'd only felt before when he had faced his senior. He felt powerless. Multiple elders observing the spectacle raised their eyebrows, their expressions turning grave. They looked at each other, speculating about Su Yu. Su Yu's fight at the Fallen Star had made him famous in the outer sanctum. But, in the eyes of the high and mighty elders, the Fallen Star contest was not worthy of attention. They did not know of Su Yu's existence. In fact, a huge bulk of inner sanctum disciples did not care about the Fallen Star contest. They did not know what had happened and did not know of Su Yu's existence. This person was an outer sanctum disciple. I can believe he beat the new disciples Sun Tianyang and Yuanhu, but to defeat a third-level lower-tier Holy King. This guy's potential is horrifying. Even I misjudged him. The eyes of multiple elders ignited with passion. Sun Tianyang and Yuanhu's talents were already considered brilliant, they were highly sought after in the faction. What about Su Yu, who had defeated the both of them? Quickly, the passion in their eyes died down. They caught a glimpse of Hanji and their hearts filled with a shred of pity. His talent was above average. Unfortunately, he could not live past today. Stealing Xiana meant that Su Yu was fated to die. Su Yu calmly stared at the surprised black armored guard that he had sent flying. His mouth was full of blood. His pupils contracted, full of fear. He was severely injured by a mere finger. Was this the vermin that he defeated with just 5 days ago? Retracting his finger, Su Yu unfeelingly shook his head. You're much weaker than I imagined. The face of the black armored guard turned red, but he could not find any words to retort. Hugging Xiana, Su Yu continued to leave. He had a look of satisfaction, a look of relief and bitterness as he lightly sighed. Xiana, seeing you once again, I no longer have any regrets. He had taken Xiana in front of the elders of the faction. Su Yu knew that it was the end of the road for him. When he had decided to take the bride away, he had understood that he would ultimately have to bid farewell to Xiana for forever. He was going to die at the hands of Xuanhuan, the 10th elder, and the great elder. Xiana would still be forced to marry Xuanhuan. This was a predetermined outcome. Under their absolute power, Su Yu was but a weak ant. Su Yu was unable to change this predetermined outcome. All he could do was see Xiana for the last time before he died. To tell her that he, Su Yu, had once come and that he still loved her. To make sure she knew he had died in a blaze of glory. He knew that he would definitely die, but Su Yu still came forward. He could not bear to see his fiancée, the person he had sworn to protect with his life, the slender figure that he could not erase from his heart, marry someone else. Even if he would die, he wanted to see Xiana one last time. Feeling the grief in his voice, the young Xiana seemed to understand. The pain of a permanent loss, of an imminent farewell, spread into her soul. Brother Su Yu, don't go. Xiana hugged Su Yu's neck, choking as she wept. Silent grief flowed into her heart. Heart-wrenching feelings of loss assaulted her young soul. Su Yu caressed her, bending down to kiss her forehead. I no longer have any regrets. Xiana, please keep your eyes open. I will fight for you for the last time. Su Yu lifted his head, his purple and red eyes giving out an unparalleled glow. The glow fell on the figures who had appeared out of nowhere at their backs. The ceremonial red robe, the ordinary appearance, the sinister expression, the cold gaze, combined, it all gave Su Yu a terrifying appearance. Xuanhuan had appeared behind them in an instant, standing with his hands behind his back, his eyes full of contempt. While he remained silent, everyone could feel his killing intent. Su Yu was like a volcano waiting to erupt. Su Yu, I'll give you a chance, die for your sins. Xuanhuan did not have any form of energy surrounding him. Had he surrounded himself with an aura, Su Yu would already have died. A powerful warrior who had entered the dragon realm, Xuanhuan had a power of unimaginable heights. Even his aura would be enough to kill Su Yu 100 times over. Su Yu had a look of decisiveness. A pitiful smile appeared on his face. All my life, I, Su Yu, have been a failure. I have not healed my father-in-law's arm. I have not avenged my teacher. My fiancé was kidnapped and forced into a marriage by others, but I can do nothing about it. But, An astonishing killing intent rumbled out of Su Yu's chest like a thunderbolt, striking the hearts of many. While I am incompetent, while I have been a failure all my life, I want to do something for Xiana before I die. I want to kill you. Su Yu let out a deep howl. His dying wish turned into willpower, piercing through the clouds. Even if he had to die, he would drag Xuanhuan down with him. The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Chapter 127, Perishing Together. The killing intent Xuanhuan had been suppressing finally erupted. He slowly put down his hands, his tone extremely cold. You overestimate yourself. I really regret giving you the chance to kill yourself to atone for your sins. I guess I should just send you on your way myself. Extending his finger, Xuanhuan calmly pointed towards Su Yu. His finger was ordinary, but it harbored an indefensible power. Even Su Yu, who was standing far away, involuntarily turned rigid. The vital energy and spirit energy in his body slowed down to a halt. He had only felt this helpless against the second elder. Back then, he could not even move an inch against the second elder. Xuanhuan, in comparison, only affected the energy flow within his body. No matter how I overestimate myself, my abilities are enough to kill you. Su Yu grunted. He wore a decisive expression. Su Yu struck his hand up into the air. Icy pearl. Appear. Rumble. A rumble came from the icy azure lake in the chilly star, its azure waters raging. An azure pearl the size of a house pierced the heavens. With the speed of light, it crossed the barrier between the inner and outer sanctums, descending upon Su Yu's head. The terrifying chill had become more powerful. It made the skin of everyone present to crawl. Several normal disciples turned into ice sculptures after they looked at it. As the azure chilly energy billowed out from the pearl, freezing the heavens. Creak. Pillars of icy fog froze into ice pillars, dropping onto the earth with a sharp cling. The expressions on the calm elders' faces changed. Stern and surprised looks were shown on the faces of the crowd. The icy pearl from the icy azure lake. This pearl was the core of the chilly star, sealing an extreme chill. If it shatters, everything will perish within a mile radius. Unless you have achieved the dragon realm, you will definitely die. Even in the dragon realm, there's no guarantee of survival should he attack at such close range. Protect the disciples. The master of the Lixian faction, a horse-faced man, did not stop Su Yu. Instead, he used spirit energy to protect the disciples at his side. The multiple elders did not hesitate, they used their hands to protect the disciples around them, their eyes flickering with surprise. How had Su Yu come to control such a terrifying weapon? The sinister Han Ji's expression changed, surprise and fury written all over his face. Retreat. Danger. A surge of anxiety rushed up into Han Ji's heart. How could he have expected that an ant like Su Yu could control such a terrifying icy pearl? Xuanhuan's belittling expression had stayed rigid since the appearance of the icy pearl. Initially, he was confused. Then, he recognized what the object was. His pupils gradually contracted into needlepoints. Finally, he felt fear, a skin-crawling, heart-wrenching fear. The icy pearl from the icy azure lake. It was because of the icy pearl that the icy azure lake had boundless chilly energy. That lake had existed due to the presence of the pearl. Even people who had achieved the dragon realm would have slim chances of survival when they plunged into the icy lake. If he allowed the azure chilly energy from the icy pearl to enter his body, being a low-level dragon, there was only one fate awaiting him, death. There was no doubt about it, the icy pearl would strip him of any chances of survival. Su Yu, he, actually controlled the icy pearl. Xuanhuan swallowed. His face was as pale as a sheet. Hearing his teacher's howls of fury, his legs trembled as he retreated without hesitation. At this moment, the Su Yu that he had found unworthy of even speaking to him, the Su Yu he could kill with just a finger, became the source of fear in his heart. I said, you must die. Su Yu let out a low grunt. He hugged Xiana, flying above the icy pearl. He stepped on the icy pearl and was in hot pursuit. The icy pearl had remarkable speed, quicker than imagined. It had arrived from the chilly star to the inner sanctum in just a blink of an eye. Now it was chasing Xuanhuan. In just a fraction of the time it took to take a breath, the icy pearl had caught up to Xuanhuan. Perish. This is the last thing you could do for Xianna. Su Yu was as cold as a frost king. Han Ji slammed down his arm as he rose, furiously growling. Vermin, how dare you! Xuanhuan was a disciple he had nurtured for years. Was he going to be killed in front of his eyes? Han Ji had not been negligent, but he did not even have any regard for the weak Su Yu. He underestimated Su Yu, which gave him a chance to display his powers. Su Yu had no regard for Han Ji, his expression cold. Han Ji, you old villain. It's a pity that I do not have the ability to kill you, otherwise, I would send you to meet your maker too. For now, you can say goodbye to your disciple. Crash. The icy pearl struck forward, crushing Xuanhuan under it. Ah! In a cry of pain, Xuanhuan was completely crushed under the icy pearl. The azure chilly energy sealed within the icy pearl threatened to spill out. Just a shred of the chilly energy caused Xuanhuan to scream pathetically in fear. His cold eyes had been completely replaced with fear. Su Yu, you wish to kill a core disciple in the presence of so many. Kill me and there would no longer be any escape for you. Xuanhuan, in the face of his death, angrily howled as his survival instincts kicked in. Su Yu's lips formed a cold arc. If I do not kill you, you people would kill me anyway. Before I die, if I could drag you down with me, wouldn't it be worth it? We could discuss this. Keep the icy pearl. I can give you a way out. Xuanhuan's gaze was wavering. On the surface, he looked like he was going to submit, but, in all honesty, he was as murderous as ever. He could give Su Yu a way out, but there was no guarantee that his teacher or the faction would give him a chance of survival. Today, Su Yu had disrupted the wedding ceremony and publicly killed Zhu Rong. The faction would not forgive him, he would definitely die. You wish to stall for time and let your all-powerful teacher help you. Su Yu glanced toward the second elder who was stepping toward the yard. His words shattered the plans in Xuanhuan's heart. Giving Xuanhuan a chance to speak was all part of Su Yu's plan. He wanted to attract the second elder over. Then, Su Yu planned to send Xuanhuan on his way. Before he died, he could severely injure the second elder too. Explode. Su Yu was laughing, furiously howling. The azure chilly energy within the icy pearl billowed out violently. Crack. A deep crack formed on the icy pearl. Not good. He's going to blow up the icy pearl. Quick. Protect the disciples and retreat. The expression of the master of the Lixian faction changed. The multiple elders were also shocked. They did not need the reminder of the master of the Lixian faction to know what to do. They left quickly. He has really gone insane. An elder said shockingly in his retreat. When one is pushed to the edge, he will do anything. Xuanhuan and his teacher have pushed him too far. The evil will get their retribution. They deserve this. We do not need to interfere and help them. Multiple elders exchanged looks. Crack, crack, crack. The rapid cracking sounds were followed by a cold energy that spilled out from the fractured pearl. Xuanhuan was extremely fearful. Looking on at the insane Su Yu, a deep regret and bitterness filled his heart. Had he known that this would happen, he would have killed him back at Xuanhu Island. Han Ji's expression changed. Deep in his eyes was a bolt of caution. His sinister face was filled with fury. Vermin, you should die, just like your teacher. Rumble. How powerful was an elder's attack? Xuanhuan and Su Yu would perish together. But, being able to take Xuanhuan down with him and injure Han Ji as he died, everything was worth it. Die together, you're daydreaming. A raspy voice with a mocking tone suddenly floated around Su Yu's ears. Just 3 inches away from where Su Yu was, a person suddenly appeared out of thin air. Su Yu turned rigid. They were so close, but he hadn't noticed their approach. Even Han Ji could not compare to these abilities. The voice was incredibly familiar to Su Yu. It was the second elder. A dainty hand rested on Su Yu's shoulder. Her strength immediately immobilized Su Yu. The icy pearl under his feet lost its motivation, gradually turning silent. At the critical moment of its explosion, it had been forcefully stopped. Xuanhuan was elated. His expression was ferocious. Su Yu, I want you dead. Han Ji was shocked by the second elder's abilities. Seeing Su Yu get suppressed, a murderous intent flared in his eyes. You are the same as your teacher, not knowing your place. Die. Taking advantage of Su Yu's immobilization, Han Ji suddenly struck. Su Yu was filled with hatred. At the final moment, he had been stopped by the ugly second elder. He could not drag Xuanhuan down with him, and was helpless as Han Ji took the opportunity to kill him. But, whoosh! A bolt of energy shot out from the hand on Su Yu's shoulder. It did not kill Su Yu. Instead, it flew straight to Han Ji. Han Ji did not expect this. Rumble. A mere bolt of energy had caused Han Ji to fly back several hundred meters. His robes had been torn to shreds, his hair was disheveled. His breath had also been knocked out of rhythm, turning visibly haggard. Han Ji was surprised as he was furious. What are you doing? Why did you attack me? He. The second elder stepped out from behind Su Yu. Her ugly, disfigured face was like a demon's. Even in the daylight, she caused the hearts of many to shudder. Many of the junior disciples did not dare to look at her. Some of the more senior disciples also looked away, harboring faint feelings of disgust. Even some of the elders despised her, though their expressions never changed. Her appearance was too hideous, making it hard for anyone to develop any affection for her. Her milky white pupils coldly stared at Han Ji. He is the person I want to kill, and only I can kill him. Did you ask me before you touched him? Han Ji had mixed emotions, but he did not dare rebut her. The second elder was eccentric, her moods were unpredictable. He did not dare offend her. He killed members of the faction, I am punishing him under the name of the faction. The second elder still had to respect the name of the faction. The second elder squinted. That old hag, HMP, her granddaughter was already engaged to someone else, but she forced her to marry Xuanhuan. Dishonorable. She was despicable and heartless. These kinds of people deserve to be killed. He, as an outer sanctum disciple, barged into the inner sanctum. How do you explain that? Han Ji felt as though the second elder was protecting Su Yu. The second elder laughed coldly. 3 days ago, he gained the approval of the icy pearl. He already had the right to enter the inner sanctum, how is that barging in? HMPH. He severely injured many of our disciples and the guard of the steel bridge. What about that? Han Ji felt that something was off. The second elder lifted her ugly face, putting on a mocking smile. A bunch of imbeciles. They were weaker than Su Yu and was injured by him, who can they blame but themselves? Nonsense. Han Ji was furious. The second elder let out a malicious growl and clenched her teeth. So you're saying that I am being unreasonable here? Han Ji relaxed. Those who were familiar with the second elder knew that her clenching her teeth was a sign that she was going to attack. Once she entered one of her rampages, no one except the great elder and the master could stop her. Swallowing lightly, Han Ji did not dare offend her any further. HMPH. You understand the situation. If you spout any more nonsense, I'm going to pluck all the teeth out of your mouth. The second elder turned to face Su Yu, jokingly staring at him. He. Let's go, pitiful worm. You cannot die at the hands of others. I haven't had enough fun with you. Thank you, Su Yu said quietly. A smile of gratitude crept across his face. At this point, how could Su Yu not understand? Even though she was ugly and hideous, the eccentric second elder was helping him. Ever since that day in the miscellaneous hall, telling him of Xiana's marriage, spurring him to train hard to save Xiana, she had strived to help him. Today, she had hidden outside the hall, quietly observing until Su Yu was in danger. Then, she had come in to get Su Yu and Xiana out of danger. While she looked evil, she was the only person truly helping him in the Liaxian faction. Otherwise, she could have jokingly observed him die on the spot. Why would she get involved and bring trouble to herself? The second elder's joking expression turned serious, her gaze rippled. Su Yu understood what the ripple meant. He unintentionally empathized with her suddenly, beginning to understand her feelings. She glared ferociously at Su Yu. I was just toying with you, idiot. But Su Yu continued smiling, seeing through all her disguises. The second elder's lips quivered. She ducked her head, hiding from Su Yu's star-like eyes. After a while, she averted her gaze and a cold sneer escaped her lips. Follow me. If her skin were perfect, an awkward blush would certainly be visible. Su Yu was filled with gratitude. He had only seen the second elder once. Even though he did not know why the second elder was helping him, Su Yu now realized the second elder was truly beautiful at heart. She intentionally angered people as a form of self-protection. HMPH. A heavy, cold grunt came from the elders. It was a white-haired old man, his face full of wrinkles. He seemed like he was going to die at any moment. He was dressed in a dark red robe, a glow flowing throughout his body. His eyes were sunset yellow, like a dead man's. But no one dared to look him in the eye. The other elders' expressions changed, their hearts thumping wildly. Their eyes were filled with fear and respect. The master of the Lixian faction had a serious expression, his eyes wavering with caution. Just a grunt had caused the entire hall to turn silent, no one daring to breathe. This person's status must be extraordinary. The great elder of the faction, Han Ji's teacher. He was the strongest person in the faction, comparable to the master of the faction. His old eyes floated toward the second elder. His voice was calm but filled with unimaginable authority. Without my permission, all of you cannot leave. The second elder was lawless, but her eyes shone with rare caution. HMPH. What are you going to do about it? Su Yu will be executed. Qin Xiana will continue her wedding with Xuanhuan. The great elder calmly said. It was as if an order from the master, no one dared to oppose him. The master was silent. He would not disrupt the harmony between him and the great elder just for Su Yu. The other elders did not dare oppose the great elder. The great elder's sentence had turned the situation around. Xuanhuan let out a ferocious laugh. Su Yu, Su Yu. After you die, I'll take care of your woman for you. I will love her well. Su Yu's killing intent flared in his eyes. A pathetic smile crept across his face. He gently pushed the second elder's palm away, his eyes harboring gratitude. Second elder, you have done all you can. Now I can only count on myself. He stepped once again on top of the icy pearl. Su Yu's eyes flashed murderously. Rumble. The icy pearl suddenly sank down, causing Xuanhuan, who was crushed under it, to squeal pathetically. The great elder was calm, slowly shaking his head. Your death is insignificant. Whoosh. His figure suddenly disappeared. When he reappeared, he seemed to have materialized from thin air in front of Su Yu. His old palm seemed ordinary, but it caused Su Yu to lose all his strength. He pushed towards Su Yu's forehead. Su Yu was serious, his lips forming a cold smile. Old fogey, do you really think you are a god? Don't even think about stopping me from killing someone. His purple left eye shined radiantly. His seal of time was about to be activated. The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Chapter 128, The Arranged Match. Crash. Just as Su Yu was about to activate his space-time manipulation technique, a female figure flew to the front of Su Yu. She hit the palm of the Great Elder away. Thud. Thud. The second elder and the Great Elder stepped back at the same time. You dare fight me? Surprise and shock filled the eyes of the Great Elder. He didn't understand what was happening. The second elder had struck him, the first elder, for a simple student. Her ugly face was raised slightly, harboring a cold intent. Her raspy voice caused many to shiver. I said only I can kill him. Those who defy me shouldn't blame me for being heartless. The crowd did not understand. Why would the second elder protect Su Yu? She had even opposed the Great Elder. The Great Elder's yellow pupils slowly became cold. He did not allow anyone to challenge his authority. Whoosh. A middle-aged man flew in between the two. It was the master of the Lixian faction. The second elder was the third most powerful person in the Lixian faction. Should she be wounded or killed by the Great Elder, it would be hard for the Master to find powerful allies to maintain the arms race against the Great Elder. Thus, he had to show himself and mediate the situation. The Great Elder was cautious. Even the Master wants to fight against me. Naturally not. The both of you are the pillars of the faction, how could we disrupt the harmony? A situation between juniors should be resolved by juniors, our sole job is to judge it fairly. The Master of the Lixian faction had a harmonious tone as he redirected the conflict towards Suyu and Xuanhuan. The Great Elder looked at the two of them, nodding his head after a moment. Great. But he has to keep the icy pearl. They should resolve this with a fight. The second elder laughed. Someone who has entered the realm of the dragon against a holy king, how's that fair? Rather than let the two of them fight, how about we fight? It would be more meaningful that way. The Master of the Lixian faction shifted his gaze, relieving the tension. How about this? Xuanhuan will suppress his cultivation level to the same standard as Su Yu before the two of them fight. Qin Shiana was engaged to Su Yu, but was lied to by the villain Zhu Rong. Xuanhuan and Elder Hanji were also being led along, resulting in such a misunderstanding. We should not be such petty people, disrupting the harmony as we have. Peacefully settling this with a battle is the best idea. Xuanhuan would suppress his cultivation level. The wrinkles on the second elder's face deepened. At the realm of the dragon, every technique holds an unparalleled power. Su Yu would find it hard to overcome such power, even if his opponent suppressed his cultivation level to match Su Yu's. She was about to object, but a warm hand grabbed her arm and shook it lightly. Looking back, she saw Su Yu. He was smiling as he shook his head. Thank you, this is already the best outcome. Now, I will face this myself. Feeling his hand on her arm, the second elder shuddered. A gentle gaze swept across her ferocious eyes. Turning back, she stared coldly at the Master of the Lixian faction. Settling this with a battle. How are we going to settle this? What happens if Su Yu loses? Is he going to have to kill himself to atone for his sins? The Master of the Lixian faction glanced toward Qin Shiana, smiling. Since the conflict arose due to Qin Shiana, then she should naturally be the one to resolve it. If Su Yu is victorious, Qin Shiana will return to Su Yu and all animosity will be forgotten. Disciples and elders are not to find trouble with Su Yu. We will bear witness to this. Second elder and great elder are both respectable figures, and will not break the promise. As for Xuanhuan, should he break the promise, other elders will have the authority to punish him. The second elder slowly nodded her head. This was fair. The great elder calmly nodded. All right. If Xuanhuan cannot best Su Yu, there's no point in me interfering. He meant Xuanhuan could not possibly lose. Similarly, if Xuanhuan is victorious, the wedding will continue. Xuanhuan will marry Qin Shiana, and the second elder and Su Yu are not allowed to interfere. How's that? The Master of the Lixian faction continued. Su Yu hesitated. Xuanhuan freed himself from under the icy pearl, coldly mocking Su Yu as he rose up. You understand that, even at the same cultivation level, you cannot survive a hit from me. Isn't that why you're hesitant? If that's the case, let go of Qin Shiana and leave immediately. Worthless beings are not fit to be beside her. Su Yu held little regard for Xuanhuan's words. He looked down at the trembling Shiana. I merely do not wish to take the person I love as a wager. Even if I know I am going to win, I do not wish to, for she's a person I cannot afford to gamble with. The crowd fell silent upon hearing this. Su Yu's love ran deep. Even though he knew that he was going to die today, he had still come from the icy azure lake and had attempted to steal the bride. They were truly in love. A sweet smile spread across Shiana's nervous face. Her blushing face showed dimples of happiness. Su Yu, go. I believe that you will win, for I will only be brother Su Yu's bride. Shiana. Su Yu's heart trembled. He looked up slowly, his eyes radiating a piercing glow. I accept the challenge. The Master of the Lixian faction secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Great. But today is not a good day for the challenge. This place is messy and some hidden threats have to be quickly removed. Between his words, he glimpsed at Su Yu and the icy pearl under his feet. Wherever Su Yu walked, there were multiple lower-level disciples who had turned into ice sculptures. They needed immediate attention. The Great Elder creased his brows, accepting the fact that the most urgent matter was to get rid of the icy pearl. Without getting rid of this threat, the disciples of the inner sanctum were in danger. All right. Incidentally, there's a small sparring contest organized by the Law Enforcement Tribunal. The both of you will attend and spar there. The Great Elder was in charge of the Law Enforcement Tribunal and knew the details. Xuanhuan coldly stared at Su Yu and a mocking smile crept past his lips. Su Yu, you can stare helplessly as I, Xuanhuan, marry your woman. Su Yu's gaze was calm. I hope you still smile tomorrow. A peaceful confidence bloomed within Su Yu as if his win was guaranteed. The crowd started to take care of the messy hall. The icy pearl was sent back into icy azure lake, completely sealed. The lower-level disciples who were frozen were given aid in time. The celebratory wedding ended quietly. The news of what happened had spread all throughout the inner and outer sanctums. The King of the Fallen Star, an outer sanctum disciple, had the gall to charge into the wedding of the Great Elder's disciple and steal away the bride in front of everybody. A duel between elders had been struck as a result of Su Yu's actions. Once the news spread, there was commotion everywhere. Su Yu had not entered the inner sanctum, but his name had spread throughout the faction. Su Yu and Qin Xiana had been temporarily brought to the yard of the Second Elder to speak with her. Much thanks for the help, Second Elder. Su Yu bowed in respect. He did not thank the Second Elder just for himself, but also for Li Guang. In the past, the Second Elder had helped Li Guang escape death. Who helped you? I only wanted to save you so I could kill you myself. The Second Elder chided him fiercely. Staring into her eyes, Su Yu laughed. His eyes were full of gratitude. The Second Elder averted her gaze, the tips of her ears turning red. If she still had her beauty, perhaps her blush would be visible on her cheeks as well. She stared fiercely at Su Yu, a little shy that she knew he understood her true feelings. She could not hide it any longer, her nostrils flaring. What are you laughing at? Let's see if you can still laugh after you lose to Xuanhuan tomorrow and get your woman stolen. If Xuanhuan really suppresses his cultivation level, I might not lose. Su Yu was smiling, gently caressing Xiana's head. Even if it would kill him tomorrow, he had to win. The Second Elder had fought to give him this chance. Otherwise, he would definitely have been killed by the First Elder and Xiana would have been forced to marry Xuanhuan in front of his corpse. Now, by defeating Xuanhuan, he and Xiana would have little to worry about. All of this was thanks to the Second Elder. The other elders did not help him, for they did not wish to oppose the Great Elder. Even the master of the Lixian faction did nothing when the wedding was ongoing. In his eyes, Su Yu was but an ant. It was only after the Second Elder had struck out that the master of the Lixian faction had no choice, creating a chance for Su Yu. Seeing Su Yu's confidence, the Second Elder was perplexed. Where did Su Yu's confidence come from? His cultivation level had risen significantly after spending 3 days in the icy azure lake, climbing from first-level peak Holy King to second-level peak Holy King. He had achieved a breakthrough of a whole level. In 3 days, Su Yu had used the extremely chilly energy in the icy azure lake to rapidly improve his Sai of Ice. Previously, his Sai of Ice still had some way to go before reaching stage 1 lower tier. But now, with the help of the chilly energy, it broke through into the upper tier. His spirit energy reserves were now 7 times that of other disciples of the same level. His rate of absorbing spirit energy could be classified as horrifying. Thus, Su Yu was able to survive in such a drastic situation. It was also through his absorption of the chilly energy that he could form a connection with the icy pearl, granting him the ability to control the azure chilly energy within it. Thus, he could use the icy pearl as his trump card to kill Xuanhuan. The second elder could more or less see Su Yu's improvements, but could not understand where Su Yu's confidence was coming from. HMPH. Best you get killed tomorrow and get your woman stolen by Xuanhuan. The second elder fiercely grunted as she left. Before she left, she gave one final warning. You can rest here today. If you need anything, find Mo Wu. Keen Xianna was a little afraid of the second elder, so her nose wrinkled slightly. Su Yu, that woman was so fierce. Su Yu rubbed her head, smiling. That was not being fierce. It is a mask used to hide her gentle heart. Seemingly understanding what Su Yu said, Xianna scratched her head. Her face was filled with doubt. What Su Yu did not know was that after the second elder left the hall, she had entered the backyard. Cough, cough. Her face suddenly turned pale as a sheet, a cold sweat breaking out on her forehead. She coughed violently, spitting out a black-red, discolored spray of blood. Teacher, medicine. Hearing the coughing, a beauty rushed over, her expression serious. She immediately whipped out a vial full of black pills. After consuming a pill, the color gradually returned to the second elder's face. The beauty was the personal disciple of the second elder, Mo Wu. In the past, she had received orders from her teacher to go watch the Fallen Star contest, to observe Su Yu. Otherwise, being one of the 4 core disciples, why would she bother with the Fallen Star contest? Why would she even go watch the matches? Everything was because her teacher had ordered her to observe Su Yu. Mo Wu could not bear seeing the discomfort in the second elder's face. Teacher, why do you treat him so well? Even though you were still tending to your injuries, you forsake your treatment and hurried over when you heard that Su Yu, the outer sanctum disciple, was begging you to teach him. Today too, even though you were injured and should not fight against others, why did you have to make an exception and face off against the great elder for Su Yu? Now your internal injuries are acting up again. Teacher, you guys have never met, why must you go to such lengths for Su Yu? Mo Wu did not understand, she was deeply envious. Why would her teacher help him at any cost? The Divine Nine Dragon Cauldron. Chapter 129, 4 Rising Stars. After taking a deep breath, the second elder's expression calmed. She lifted her face up, looking at the horizon. Her lips formed a faint smile, her voice was no longer raspy as it turned into a crisp, melodious sound. Her voice did not match her ghostly appearance. Wu, do you remember how you felt the first time you saw me? Mo Wu froze, feeling guilty as she stuttered a reply. I respected you. It was not an expression of respect on your face, but fear and repulsion. My face is uglier than a ghost's, the second elder laughed. Her voice was gentle as if it came from a fairy. Mo Wu blushed, kneeling in a fluster. Teacher, forgive me for being young and ignorant, I was judging a book by its cover. Her guilt showed on her face. When she first saw the hideous face of the second elder, how could the 13-year-old her then hide her true feelings? Fear and repulsion were, indeed, her initial reaction upon meeting the second elder. It was only after spending some time together that she realized that the second elder had a really good heart, she was more kind than any handsome face in the faction. Now that she thought back about it, she was filled with guilt. Even though her teacher did not express this, Mo Wu knew her gaze had hurt her teacher. Then do you know what Su Yu looked like when he first saw me? The second elder had a compassionate smile, deep in her eyes was a look of warmth and gratitude. Mo Wu hesitated. He's only 14, was he mature enough to remain calm? He was not calm. Instead, it was a look of compassion. The melodious voice of the second elder showed a ripple of emotion. That day flashed in her mind. The sun had been warm, with a slight breeze was blowing around her. It had been a normal summer afternoon when a silver-haired, purple-robed, smiling stranger made his way toward her, asking her about the rules of the depository. After seeing her hideous face, he wasn't afraid or flustered. He didn't despise her, instead, he had a look of compassion. For the first time, a stranger had looked at her hideous face and showed compassion. Those clear eyes were like the midsummer sun shining deep into her heart. Since she was young, she had endured the strange looks of many. She had already become numb to all the staring and glaring. Su Yu's gaze was like rays of sunlight penetrating the black clouds, shining deep into her icy inner world and causing her soul to shudder. She had remembered the silver-haired, purple-robed youth. She had remembered Su Yu. Because of his compassion, she had decided to help him. Mo Wu clenched her fist, feeling guilty but also unjust. She deeply understood how much pain her teacher was going through, so she could understand why her teacher was helping Su Yu. It was all due to gratitude. She was thanking him for never once belittling, despising, or hurting her. But why can't I be the one she's grateful for? Mo Wu felt indignant. The second elder turned to leave. Tomorrow, I shall help teacher observe the fight and tell you of the details. You should tend to your injuries, Mo Wu said. The second elder did not turn around, though her melodious voice was gentle. It is a fight concerning his fate, how could I leave him alone? Clenching her fists, Mo Wu stomped her feet. I cannot accept this. Why is he the one teacher is happy about, not me? In the middle of the night, a lone candle lit up a single room. Xiana, it's late. Go back to sleep in your room. Su Yu lightly patted Xiana's back. Ever since they were reunited, Xiana had clung to Su Yu and refused to let go. I don't want to. I want to sleep with brother Su Yu. Xiana whined, her arms hugging Su Yu even tighter. If I let go, you're going to run away. Once upon a time, he had knocked her unconscious and sent him over to Elder Keen. Another time, he had lied to her to get her to leave without him. Su Yu had no choice. He held her lovingly and went onto the bed. Xiana buried her head deep into Su Yu's embrace, enjoying the long-awaited hug. She closed her eyes, her cheeks forming blissful dimples. Hugging the petite Xiana, Su Yu was filled with love and no immoral thoughts. Sleep peacefully. Xiana nodded obediently. She laid in Su Yu's embrace, satisfied as she slipped into a deep slumber. Looking at the girl who was as cute as a porcelain doll, Su Yu's gaze was clear and free of indecent thoughts. Xiana was too young to do anything beyond cuddling each other as they slept. Su Yu could not love her enough. How could he let her come to harm? Su Yu had to win in tomorrow's battle. He had to fight for a place within the Lixian faction, for him and Xiana, for their future. If he was to lose and Xiana was to be violated by Xuanhuan, he would spend his life in guilt and regret. Clenching his fist, Su Yu hugged Xiana and slipped into a slumber. The next day, Xiana awoke and yawned like a cat. Opening his eyes to look at the silently sleeping Xiana, Su Yu noticed she looked like an adorable pixie. Suddenly, Su Yu's gaze fell on her neck. A mark of a fire phoenix was clearly visible. This was Xiana's mark of her bloodline of the 9 phoenixes. It had been there since her birth. But what Su Yu could not understand was a faint, black fog surrounding the fire phoenix. Had it always looked like that? Xiana yawned again and turned her body, blocking the seal. Su Yu could not observe it further. Seeing the sunrise, Su Yu got out of bed. The fight concerning the fate of Xiana was approaching. As he left the yard, a lady stood silently at the door. She was about 20 years old and beautiful. She had fair skin and a sharp chin. Her features were gentle and exquisite like cherry blossoms in April. A green silk robe was draped over her. Her yellow shirt hugged her mature body, accentuating her curves. What a beauty! But her demeanor was cold, making it hard for anyone to approach her. Finally awake. HMPH. My teacher ordered me to take you to the law enforcement tribunal. The beauty's expression was cold and composed, making it hard for anyone to discern her feelings. But Su Yu could faintly discern some animosity. She was the personal disciple of the second elder, Mo Wu. She was also one of the 4 core disciples of the Lixian faction. Her abilities were in the dragon realm. Slightly nodding, Su Yu remained calm and followed her to the law enforcement tribunal. The law enforcement tribunal was the punitive agency of the faction. It needed to inspire fear amongst the disciples of the faction, and so its entry requirements were very high. Every month, they organized a small sparring contest to train the disciples. Today's sparring contest had an extraordinary purpose. The elders of the faction were going to be observing this contest. The second elder and the 10th elder were going to be present. The battle between the two of you will take place at the same time as the 4 rising stars of the Law Enforcement Tribunal. Mo Wu stepped forward with her slender legs. The 4 rising stars of the Law Enforcement Tribunal. Su Yu raised his head. How strong are they? At least 3rd level Holy King, Mo Wu coldly replied, pausing for a moment. Meanwhile, I wish to remind you that the Law Enforcement Tribunal is the strongest organization in the Lixian faction in terms of battle power. Its members have access to legacy-level techniques as long as they are above 3rd level Holy King. They are not comparable to the Black Armored Guard you beat in the past. Cultivating legacy-level techniques. Su Yu was calm. He had never belittled the Law Enforcement Tribunal, and thus he can't say that he was surprised. Looking back to see Su Yu's calm expression without a hint of nervousness, Mo Wu thought that he was overconfident. She sneered. You had better take this seriously. It's all right if you lose your woman, but don't dishonor my teacher. Yes, Senior Mo, Su Yu replied with a smile. The 4 rising stars are the best disciples the Law Enforcement Tribunal has recruited over the past 5 years. Each of them has punished evildoers by themselves. Their skills are stunning and they have much experience in actual combat. Among them, the strongest is Wang Shengxiu, a 3rd level peak Holy King. He once sparred with 4th level Holy Kings. Su Yu was shocked. Wang Shengxiu was strong. He had no competition among the 3rd level Holy Kings. During the fight, if you lose against other people before facing Xuanhuan, it will mean that you have completely lost. According to the agreement, Qin Xiana will have to marry Xuanhuan and you cannot object. In the backyard of the Law Enforcement Tribunal, there was a practice venue. The area was encompassed by a murderous aura. A group of men dressed in black stood at the side. Their every breath carried incredible pressure. A weak-willed person entering the Law Enforcement Tribunal would undoubtedly be terrified by their presence, but Su Yu was calm as he approached the practice venue. 4 black-robed youths had long since arrived. They did not speak much as they stood under the arena, a cold aura spreading through their bodies. When is it my turn? Su Yu took a light breath. He wanted very much to fight Xuanhuan as soon as possible so he could resolve the issue once and for all. Mo Wu was impassive. The second battle. After a while, the 2nd elder and the 10th elder arrived. The great elder had considerable status and did not have time to observe such a small sparring. The master of the Lixian faction had achieved his aim. No matter the outcome of the fight, the animosity between the two parties would be solved. Xuanhuan came together with the 10th elder, shooting a cold laugh at Su Yu from afar. Xuanhuan, will definitely take your woman. Su Yu, will definitely take your life. Su Yu coldly replied. They locked eyes, murderous anger evident in their glares. Their battle would decide the future of Xiana and Su Yu. Su Yu had to win. If he lost, he will destroy Xiana's future. The Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Chapter 130, Praying the Weak and Fearing the Strong. With the arrival of the 2 elders, the contest began. First round, Luo Hao against Song Yu. Whoosh. A lady and a man flew into the practice venue. They were dressed in black and their expressions were merciless. A ferocious energy surrounded their bodies. Luo Hao is ranked 4th among the 4 rising stars and is a 3rd level lower tier Holy King. Song Yu is ranked 3rd. She's also a 3rd level lower tier Holy King. Mo Wai introduced them both impassively. Su Yu observed the two. They were of the same cultivation level, but the lady Song Yu was ranked slightly higher than Luo Hao. The contest begins. Whoosh. The 2 fighters made their moves. Song Yu was a lady, so her flexibility was naturally superior. Coupled with the technique she used, she became light as a sparrow. Her movements were agile, striking elegantly yet accurately. Luo Hao was muscular, but it did not affect his agility. He struck with both his arms and legs, attacking and defending with the same technique. Crash. They exchanged multiple moves. Their movement techniques, as well as their attacking and defensive capabilities, were more or less equal. It was hard to discern why Song Yu was ranked above Luo Hao. After 10 moves, the two clashed palms before stepping away from the other. Your movement techniques have improved, not bad. You still need to spar more with outsiders, this contest is over. Song Yu had an expression of approval. Luo Hao cupped his fists in respect. Thank you for your pointers, senior. Please, don't hold back any longer. I wish to see if I can last longer than I did last time. Song Yu had deliberately suppressed her abilities to spar with Luo Hao. All right. Song Yu lowered her chin, her fingers pointing in the air. A water bubble the size of a palm materialized in her hand. Clenching her fist, the bubble turned into a ribbon encircling her arm. Wave of the heavens. Song Yu exclaimed as she pressed forward. The ribbons around her body danced in the air like flying dragons. Su Yu's expression turned serious. A legacy-level technique. This was the first time he had seen a disciple use a true legacy-level technique since coming into the faction. Luo Hao's expression turned serious. He extended his arms into the shape of large wings and suspended himself in the air. Wings of flight. With a low grunt, his legs twisted like tops as his body descended. The quick spinning motion agitated the surrounding air, which exploded with a loud boom. The waves of strong wind assaulted their surroundings. Su Yu's silver hair danced wildly. That is nearly at the level of a legacy-level technique, Su Yu muttered. Song Yu had a look of admiration. Not bad. In just a month, your understanding of the legacy-level technique has improved. Unfortunately, it's not enough. The ribbons in her hands danced gently, suddenly turning sharp as a whip. The water ribbons struck downwards, causing the air to shimmer. Crack crash. A thunderous boom filled the room. Luo Hao was struck, his spinning body coming to a sudden halt and flying backward out of the arena. Whoosh. The water ribbons turned into a ball of water, cushioning Luo Hao's fall. Thank you, senior, for holding back. Luo Hao thanked her in gratitude but was visibly bitter. To think that I still cannot take one of senior's attacks. Song Yu had a smile on her face. The power of a legacy-level technique is immense, it's a huge boost to a person's combined strength. In the future, after you completely learn a legacy-level technique, the difference between our strengths will naturally narrow. Song Yu kept her smile, impassively looking towards Su Yu with wrinkled brows. You're Su Yu. Come up, I have received orders to spar with you. From her expression, it seemed that she was not happy about fighting Su Yu. Is it finally my turn? Su Yu stepped forward, cupping his hands in respect. I am Su Yu, I hope to learn something from Senior Song Yu. Learn something? How could I teach anything to such a lawless person? A murderous intent developed between Song Yu's brows. She was a disciple of the Law Enforcement Tribunal and bore deep hatred for anyone who broke the rules of the faction. Su Yu had not only barged into the inner sanctum, killed Zhu Rong, and injured the guard of the steel bridge, but he had even caused trouble at the wedding of the disciple of the Great Elder. He was a troublemaker. His reputation was not good in the Law Enforcement Tribunal. Without the protection of the Second Elder, he would already have been punished by the Law Enforcement Tribunal. Sensing Song Yu's animosity, Su Yu remained calm. I was only trying to save my fiancé. Under the urgent circumstances, I might have broken a few of the faction's rules. If that's any cause for Senior's unhappiness, I hope that you can understand. HMPH. Nonsensical logic. The rules of the faction are absolute. No matter what reasons you have, breaking them would warrant punishment. Song Yu's expression was turning colder by the minute. Su Yu wrinkled his eyebrows. This lady was too obsessed with the rules. So based on your logic, knowing that my fiancé was being forced to marry someone else, I should have just observed from the side. Yes. Song Yu's answer was short and decisive. The rules of the faction are above everything. How can your fiancé compare to the rules of the faction? His gaze turning colder, Su Yu did not want to continue arguing with such a lady. He calmly said, "Let's battle. I have no more words to say to you." He he. Song Yu's lips curled upward. It seems that you have grown overconfident of your abilities after defeating the guard of the steel bridge. That's good. I shall use my abilities to teach to you respect the law enforcement tribunal. In front of the law enforcement tribunal, your abilities mean nothing. Wave of the heavens. Splatter. A water ribbon encircled her arm. As Song Yu pressed forward, she spiraled in the air with deadly precision. The water ribbon pointed towards Su Yu. Crash. Scram. Song Yu was furious as she struck downward. The water ribbon whipped out at Su Yu. Though his back was targeted, Su Yu did not try to evade the attacks. Instead, he extended both of his hands, using one hand to strike Song Yu who was in front of him. He used the other hand to point towards the water ribbon at his back. Crash. Ah! The palms of the two collided in the air. Song Yu, a third-level lower-tier Holy King, fell back. She was unable to stand the collision. She spat out a mouthful of blood, flying backward with a shocked expression. At the peak of the battle, she had been defeated by Su Yu. She was indignant. Scram. She flicked her arm, the water ribbon assaulting Su Yu's back. It was a legacy-level technique from a third-level Holy King. Its power was not to be underestimated. Su Yu did not look back. Instead, he merely pointed a finger. Crack. The ferocious water whip stopped midair, turning into an ice sculpture. An alarming chill spread through the whip rapidly. Song Yu made to let go of the water ribbon, but it was too late. The chilly energy had traveled up the length of the water whip, turning Song Yu's arm into ice. With a fearful shriek, her entire body turned into a crystalline ice sculpture. With just one move, Su Yu had defeated Song Yu. Luo Hao was immensely surprised. Even someone as strong as Song Yu had been defeated with one move. Su Yu calmly retracted his palms, turning to look at the frozen Song Yu. Actually, the one who was overconfident was yourself. He tapped the ground gently with his toe. Crumble. The frost on Song Yu's body shattered, freeing her body. Exhale. Taking a few deep breaths, Song Yu's face turned red, partially due to her lack of oxygen, but also due to shame. To think Su Yu was so powerful. His defeat over the black-armored guard that day was not a fluke. Gao Xuan's unfeeling eyes showed a shred of emotion for the first time. HMPH. His basics are not bad. The second elder and the 10th elder showed a little surprise. Su Yu had not shown his true powers at the wedding. Many had assumed that Su Yu's limit was fighting someone of one tier higher than him, like the black-armored guard. They did not expect the powerful Song Yu to also lose to him. The third round will begin, Song Yu against Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang was ranked second out of the 4 rising stars of the Law Enforcement Tribunal, under only Wang Shengxiu. His abilities reached third level upper tier Holy King. He was extraordinarily terrifying. Song Yu steadied her breathing, flying into the practice venue. Senior Chen, please teach me. Song Yu was expectant. Sparring with a person like Chen Xiang resulted in lessons rather than victories, which she appreciated. She could only get such a learning opportunity once a month. Chen Xiang, a stern and stable figure, had a sinister aura around him. The looks he gave people were often dull and sinister. Chen Xiang nodded his head. Your move. Song Yu was elated, putting her all into her attack. Wave of the heavens. A water ribbon encircled her body as Song Yu pressed forward. This was the battle she had been waiting for. Just as she was about to cross attacks with Chen Xiang, his look turned fierce. Dragon-splitting palm. Chen Xiang's palm struck down like a heavenly great sword. His power was unparalleled. The resulting dust storm created by his attack made it hard for people to observe the fight. Su Yu's gaze turned serious. Had Chen Xiang used a stage 1 upper tier of a legacy-level technique? No. The attack was only very close to stage 1 upper tier, just a slight distance away. Still, the attack's power was terrifying. Ah! With a pathetic howl, Song Yu fell onto the ground helplessly. Her cracking ribs could be heard around the arena. What a merciless attack! Though it was only a sparring match, Chen Xiang was merciless. Song Yu had blood all over her mouth. bearing the intense pain, as she stood up with difficulty. She was afraid and frustrated as she looked at Chen Xiang. Senior Chen, we had said that this was a sparring match, why did you not hold back? Chen Xiang stood with his hands behind his back, his gaze sinister. HMPH. You have the guts to ask. You can't even win against a second-level holy king, utterly trash. You disgrace the law enforcement tribunal. This palm was a punishment, this shall not happen again. Biting her lips, Song Yu dragged her injured body down the stage in humiliation. Chen Xiang looked towards Su Yu. I would advise you to surrender immediately before facing me, otherwise you shall suffer. Su Yu's expression was calm. I would also advise you to take your opponents seriously. No matter how much you look down on them, you should never disregard them. You're not even worthy of my direct gaze. Chen Xiang chided coldly. The fourth match, Chen Xiang against Xuanhuan. The referee announced. Was it finally Xuanhuan's turn? Su Yu wanted to observe how powerful he would be after suppressing his cultivation level to match Su Yu's. I admit defeat. But, before Xuanhuan could step onto the stage, Chen Xiang admitted defeat. Xuanhuan slowly retracted his step, lightly arranging his robe. He frowned. You know your place. Chen Xiang's sinister face had formed beads of cold sweat. The stern Chen Xiang had forced out a patronizing smile. His visible fear and respect for Xuanhuan, warrior of the Dragon Realm, ran deep in his heart. He did not even dare battle Xuanhuan, even though Xuanhuan's cultivation level was severely suppressed. Wang Shengxiu, who was observing from the side, shook his head. A martial artist can lack power but must never lack spirit. Chen Xiang sniffed. The Dragon Realm. Even if Chen Xiang had lowered his cultivation level, the abilities he had cultivated and his experience in battle were still present. How could Xuanhuan ever beat him? The fifth round, Su Yu against Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang replaced his patronizing stare with a sinister expression. Boy, I'll give you a chance to admit defeat now. Otherwise, you might not be able to get back down the stage on your own. The honor of the law enforcement tribunal will not be easily sullied by you. Whoosh. Flying towards the stage, Su Yu calmly smiled. Not everyone is like you, preying on the weak but fearing the strong. Furthermore, Su Yu's gaze turned cold. I think you are not that strong at all. A single move will be enough to defeat you. End of the chapter. The Divine Nine Dragon will be read in 5 chapters for every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. Please leave this sound novel and press subscribe, follow, and the bell so you don't miss any new clips as well. See you.